Hey, good day. This is Mass X with a new Bleach Immortal Souls video. Real quickly, before I get into the discussion on our tier list for one-on-one battles, I'm just going to touch base. We just had an update. According to the update, there's a Valentine's event coming on February 10th. There's going to be two new War Souls, Love War Soul and a Rose War Soul. Those won't be available either until February 10th. I'm assuming that means they're part of the event then, as well as we've optimized text and icon layouts on the main interface. That is about it. They had also said there was going to be a character enhancement event or something like that. It's not listed here. It was listed on, I believe, their Facebook page. Might have been also on Discord. So I don't know if they've struck that because it's not listed on this notice, or if it was just an error. Knowing Oasis, it's probably just an error. But whatever that is, wasn't much to really go into, but just wanted to bring that up. So on February 10th, look out for that event. Okay, so let's talk about tier lists. I released our updated tier list a few days ago. Me and Ichigo from the team on my server on S15. Had some feedback, appreciate it. Always with the caveat, let's be honest, tier lists are subjective. Agree, disagree, hate it, like it. They're just there for talking, and also characters change, metas change, so what might be good today isn't necessarily always good 60 days from now. So keep that in mind, take everything with a grain of salt. But with that being said, let's talk about 1v1, Kenpachi contest, things of that nature. These are characters that seem to, at least in my opinion, work well. There's some tried and true ones that I continue to use, but these are our thoughts on 1v1 battles. So as you can see at the top, right out of the gate, it's kind of similar to the other tier list, except for with Aizen, the first release character up there in God tier. But any of those you can't go wrong with. With Vaste Lorde, great on one-on-one, Nell, as well as Grim version 2, all great characters to be using on 1v1. On the meta level, we had quite a few. We had some disagreements with this one, but instead of just leaving this up on the page, I'm going to go ahead and move back to my Bleach Immortal Souls account so you guys can actually see these characters and what I use on them. So let's go back there real quickly, go to characters, and let me pull up the list on the side. So as I mentioned, and I've shown before, Grimjaw version 2, I use Wrath and Tides on him usually. Aizen, also the God tier, use War Soul of Wrath, War Soul of Mystery, same as what I showed before. Nell, same thing, Crimson and Rage, I normally use on her, as well as Vaste Lorde Ichigo with a War Soul of Wrath and a War Soul of Culling on him. On that meta level, on which we rank as number 1, Uikora, Courage and Healing. He's listed on that. He does great on one-on-one, as well as his first form, which is a personal favorite of mine on 1v1. I use a War Soul of Eye and a Soaring on him. I try to get a little bit more offense out of him because he's healing himself by using these. Seems to work when I use it, but do what's best for you. Also on that same tier, Urahara. I still think he's good on 1v1. I still use him. He's usually in 8, 9, or 10 slots. But I use a Vengeance on him and an Avatar currently, really just because we're spread thin on some of these War Souls. Kenny also clocks in there. Still does great on 1v1. I use Asura and Permafrost on him more often than not. Let's take a look and see who else is on there. Kenzie. If you need a defensive one up there, you can't go wrong with him with courage and temper. As well as if you're going to need a defensive route, I use an armor on Thorns on him. And Shinji, who is also one of my default favorites for quite some time because he's a great counter to Nell when you're going one-on-one. I use on him a crippling and a pacifism. That rounds out the meta level. Our level under that, number 2 strong. We have Grim version 1. I use a Wrath and a Giant on him. I also have Tensa Zangetsu, which I don't use him a lot in 1v1 yet. I've seen a lot of players use him. I just haven't gotten him to a point where I'm comfortable enough using him. He's close. He's getting there. But there's no doubt he's probably just going to get stronger and better. And right now I don't really have set war souls on him. I'm still experimenting. So just because you see the Fury on there, don't necessarily think that's the best war soul for him because it isn't. Stark too. I've been working with him in 1v1. He's close. Also, I use a Wrath and a Vitality on him. I really envision Stark and Tensa Zangetsu really becoming norms in 1v1 at some point. Holly Bell too, the UR form. She's probably the closest in my opinion. She's just, the more I work with her and keep building her and adjusting her, she's just turning out to be very good on 1 versus 1. There were some other ones on the list. I'm just trying to get this through quickly. Under the good and usable range, we have UR Toshiro. I've always loved this character. I build him as a defensive-based character with an armor and evil on him. I really, really, really like him. I think he's a great utility character. So that's just my personal opinion. I know some people weren't that thrilled with him. I still use him to this day all the time in all different types of formats of the game. Besides that, we have White Ichigo down. I'm not a big fan of him on 1v1, but he's decent. He does a decent job. As well as Yama. He's just been declining, and he's not declining because he's a bad character. He's just declining because there are so many other options out there. If you started the game, when he came in, he was just the juggernaut, and then that moved to Nell, and now we've got quite a few characters that really get in there. I'm never saying he's bad. I use him all the time still with all different facets of the game. But he definitely doesn't have the luster he had. But again, that's mainly just because there's more options available. But besides that, I wanted to hit the high points with that. But that's our list. If you have any questions, let me know. I love Kenpachi contests, so I'm always focused on it. But I do like the one-on-one aspect, and then I like going to the 3 versus 3 teams with 1 each. I really like that a lot. It's one of the few aspects of the game that I have no complaints about. But let me know what you think. And hopefully I'll have a few more videos next week, especially with the Valentine's event coming. So I'll do a focus on that. If it's something that's going to need some strategy, I will definitely be getting something up there to assist everybody. Hope everybody has a great weekend. Thanks again for listening.